we are handsome. And he said, oh, really? I'm handsome, so you are a black monkey, eh? And then my son said, no. And he said, you are a black monkey? He said, no. And then he saw a big no. He said, with different zeros. And I said, no, you are a very black monkey. And he said, you are a liar. And you could see he stretched this in. And he said it again. My son wrote a very long thing, and he cut the communication. I was really, really pissed off. I felt really, really bad. That's a child of 8 introducing himself to you. And look at the abuse, as my brother said, online. So I told him that he should not communicate with whoever. How did he come? He said the person just said hi on his WhatsApp. So he wanted to know who was that person. That is why he was chatting with the person. So I educated him and the others that you don't communicate with people that you don't know. There was a time that the middle one also saw, he sent me a video when I was in the mission. And I saw a small caption, but you see that it's like somebody is sitting on somebody's nose. But when you are adults, when you look at it, it looks like somebody is having sexual something with somebody. And then there was a small caption that says, send to your friends. My heart was beating. So quickly, I called the lady, the girl who sent that picture to, that video to my son. That Mr. Combat, please look at Blessing's WhatsApp. Hey, he said, my sister, I'm so sorry. So I told him that you should delete all those. And I told my son, no, this is very bad. He said, no, but it's for a joke. You know, he's a child, so he did not really interpret exactly what the person was trying to communicate. But he wrote beneath that, send to your friends. These are people who are using the social media to spoil children and then socialize them wrongly. So if parents, if we are not careful or we are not tracking what our children are doing, you might think it's fun. But look at the abuse. So we have to watch it. Please, I think it's time that we try to learn basic things of how to monitor what they are doing. One time, Auntie Esther, I will mention the name, told me that, Auntie Lydia, I think Andy stays so long on social media because sometimes I see him so late online when I was out. So I told him that, boy, wherever that you are, whatever you are doing on your lines, I'm watching. Right. With that, now they stopped because they knew Mommy was watching, and when they are online, I will see.
Right, I think you mentioned a point that I just want to tap into before I ask Auntie Grace the question. You say that it's important for parents to learn how to use the social media so that they can be in charge of what their children are doing, right? But then to some extent, that might seem as control over your child, right? Especially, let's say, if your child is 13 or 15 or 16, they obviously don't want you monitoring everything that they're doing. You know, they want to feel some sort of independence. So, Auntie Grace, how do you build that trust with your child to the extent where you don't necessarily have to police their phone to know what they're doing? How do you set certain barriers in place so that they know how far to go?
I think that in life, there are responsibilities and rights. So as we groom our children, they must know what their responsibilities are and what their rights are. It's not about control, but let the child understand that she's a child and therefore cannot reason as an adult. For example, what was sent to her son looked like a joke to the boy, but for an adult who can analyze, you realize that that is not what it is. So we must teach them to know that they are children, so they can understand certain things up to a certain point. Beyond that, when they grow up, they will get there and also analyze things. And so it is not that I'm policing you, but because I'm an adult, because I'm your parent, there are things that I may need to step in to bring the awareness that something is going wrong. And when we tell them that there are boundaries to everything, you are supposed to do ABC, just like how she called it, you are not supposed to. My granddaughter, the daddy doesn't allow them to watch, go on social media, except from Friday evening. So, you know, when she comes and school is over, Grandma, give me your phone. Grandma, please, can I watch some rhymes? Please, can I watch some video the way you see? But because I'm also aware, Yesterday when she came, I said, Hannah, Daddy has told you there's no video, social media on weekends, so why? Then she hopefully walked away. But when we set barriers for them, we must also keep it. Because children are always watching for barriers to push down. Today she's worrying you, and you have a deadline to meet, so you just hand over the phone. You have destroyed everything you have said, so the child cannot take your word serious again. And I mean, going back to what we were saying, social media is not too safe for our children, except what the word control comes in. If we are not able to control, then they will sway them. Even we as adults, the media takes us to places where we don't even want to go. But because we are adults and we know, we click off or say no or something. And so you must explain to the child that the phone comes with these sort of challenges. And so once in a while, I want to check to see if something is right or wrong. It is not that I'm policing you. So that you must dialogue with them. And I think we should be talking about ages also now. You see, at a certain age, I think beyond, now they are growing. First it should be 12. Now, before 12, you should learn to dialogue with them. When you dialogue with them, because they ask a lot of why questions. You see, but when you dialogue with them, they have answers to the questions and they have clarifications to the things they don't understand. To end, a friend of mine's neighbor, the sister came from UK to come and visit, and she has had a new house help. And the child that came had a tablet. They went back, and then I learned the child scream, mommy, come and see. When the mommy took the phone, the tablet, not knowing that the new maid in the house has opened up and taken the picture, and then she deleted. But you know, so when the child was watching her usual whatever, the thing popped up. And so she screamed. But this is a child, I'm sure, that has been trained. So when she saw something that was not normal, she went. So as for the control, it has to come. But it should not be in a forceful way. Mm-hmm. Let the child understand. Right. You are a child. I am a parent. I can see where you may not see. That is why I'm there to guide you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kwabena, as for the youngest parents in the panel, what do you have to say to that?
I think our mother has said it all. You first have to establish a conversation between them that, in the real world, there are do's and don'ts. The same applies on the cyber world. After establishing that communication or explaining to them, as parents, you need to go a step further. And that is where you need to apply social media parental controls, bringing in tools, applications to secure their phones or tablets. I want to tell everybody gathered here that we normally just hand over the phones to them without putting controls, and that is where the problem begins. We cannot say that they will never take a phone or tablet, but before you hand over to them as a parent, you need to do proper research, invest in parental controls, getting the right application before you hand over, so that if you just give them a normal YouTube, for example, the child could be watching YouTube, and the next thing, there's a pop-up from an ad that shows something pornographic. I believe the elderly ones, sometimes you see those things there. Certain music will just pop up. They are watching their rhymes, but the next thing, an ad is selling on it. So that is why you need to give them the YouTube for kids. They have theirs. So in that case, they don't suffer from such a hit. So parents gathered here, future parents coming up, we have a role to play to invest on the IT gadgets we hand over to our children when it comes to parental control.
Thank you so much. Pastor, welcome to the discussion. So just picking up from what Kwabena you've said and what Auntie Grace has said, parental control, for instance. Let's keep in mind that right now, social media is here to stay, right? It's not going anywhere. It's just getting more and more progressive. And we're dealing with a generation that is becoming smarter and smarter by the day, right? you might find that these parental controls that you're talking about, they know about them. Right now, it's very easy for a child to access any content on YouTube, regardless of their age. Because when you log on to YouTube, you put your date, maybe the child was born in 2012, right? They can easily change that birth date so that YouTube allows them access to certain things. What I'm trying to point out is that we're reaching a point where parental control is not going to help any parent, right? And if that happens, because we're trying to think forward, if that happens, what's the next solution? And, okay, let's answer that question first before I pose the other question to the panelists. How can we think further than parental control?
I think that there should never be a time that parental control should be out of the hand. They say train up a child the way he should go. That is point number one. Deuteronomy also says that talk to them when you are in the house. Talk to them when you lie down. Talk to them when you eat. Talk to them when you go. So for majority of the children, once you are able to set the lines, they will follow. And we must be able to psych our children to the point that when somebody gives them an alternative idea, they should be able to come. Mommy, F1 said A, B, C, D or so. For you to bring them back online. Because whatever we do, they must relate. And before I forget, I think that maybe Pesdac can help us later. Because I learned some of the children, they know you track them like Auntie Lydia was doing. So they will clear their history. They will clear their history. So you take their phone, you cannot find out where and where they went. So maybe later, Kwabena will have to tell us how we can deal with that situation. But live with the children in love and let them trust you to the point that they know that what you are saying is true. When your children trust you and love you, they can open up to you. Sometimes we are too rigid. And when you are rigid, you will lose it because they will play nice. When they see you, they are different person. When they go out, they will become a different person. You people have been on campus, and you know people who wear short dresses on campus. When they are going home, those ones are not part of the things they were. In the same way, it applies to the phones and so on. Secondly, I saw a video. I said, oh, I should have brought it so that we can show it. I think it was from a lady that is in either UK or US, and she's into education, and she's done this cyber thing up to, I think, almost PhD. Caribbean. And the question she asks is, what at all is that X-year son or daughter learning with computer? For majority of us seated here, where our children's school, they don't give them homework on computers. You see, but either for us, self-gratification, we buy phones and these tablets for our children at too early an age. And we are substituting time with the children with gadgets. Who is important? At the end of the day, when you are old, you will cry because you did not do your work. You were chasing for money to look after them. And then afterward, they are no longer what you want them to be. Sorry, but I think we have to be very practical. I think we have to move away from the theoretical aspect and get real. One thing I say is that don't be, what do you call these people? Fire service for your child. He does A, you go after him and clean it because you don't want anybody to say, hey, police woman's son doing this, so you clean it, and then when you come outside, so the child learn. You see, we have experiences, and I know people who will bring their children to school and expect their mother should come and pay because when she hears that the son is not paying the child's school fees, she's putting her into disgrace. But you have started right from the beginning. Not that I'm too, but what I say is that my children know that if you go and do S, this woman will not follow you.
Right.
So we should make rules and laws in the house and keep to it. Let the children trust you that mommy or daddy will not countenance this. I will do the right thing and she will applaud me.
All right, thank you so much. Pastor, do you want to add something to that?
What I want to say is parental control. The first and foremost thing is that you, the parent themselves, you must have that control. You must control yourself. And you must be a disciplined person. And then, by discipline, I mean knowing the right thing and doing that right thing at the right time, in the right manner, and to the right person all the time. Then that is discipline. Your parents, your children must see you like that. You cannot give your children what you don't have. When you yourself, you don't have control over yourself, how can you then control your children? So it starts with the parents. And then the parent should be able to bring up the child in such a way that the child will be able to make the right choices, choosing to do the right thing at the right time. If you, for example, we are talking about don't do that in the house, don't do this, and so on. So rules and regulations, yes, is there. But does the child knows why it should not do this, and why it should do that, and why it should choose this and not this? They must know. And then it's not a matter of maybe taking these tablets and then closing the television and so on and so forth, shutting down the television and so on and so forth. No. Not denying them these things. Because if you deny them, their friends have it. Their friends have it. So they may still get access to them through their friends, yes. You see. And you may not, maybe at this time, don't watch television. Go to a book and study, and so on and so forth. Yes. He goes to his friend's house. The television is there. So why that, Mama? Why is my friend? I went to so and so. They are watching television. Why don't you allow me? Are you wicked? And so forth. The child may not understand. The child may be able to understand what it is. And then choose, have the freedom to choose. The problem is the choice. That if there is this program or that program, or there's this issue or this particular thing on the iPad, or you must choose not to watch this and know what to watch and not what to watch. By what? By choice. Right. Then you are giving the child the right direction. Now, if you use force, the child may go by it, but maybe the child goes out of home and goes there. He will go and experiment those things he said, because his friends are doing it. You go and experiment it. Right. And so you find himself behaving differently outside the home. When he's at home, he wants to obey his parents. Yes. I've been in the school. I happened in the secondary school to be on the disciplinary committee. And when students misbehave and they do things, at times they are suspended. Or at times, when they come to West, they are dismissed. But normally, before that will take place, they will ask you to go and bring your parents. So the parents will come. We meet at the headmaster's office. Then the headmaster will narrate all that the child has done in the school, so and so forth. And then the reason why you want to suspend the child and so forth there. it will surprise some of the parents, becomes amazed. My child, I know it's not like this at home. And they become surprised. But that is how the child has been behaving at school. Do you see that? And some of the parents, when they are told what the child has done, some of them cry. They cry. You see them weeping. You see that? Right. And so let's train the child, bring up the child in the way that the child will be able to use its part of choice to choose to do the right thing at the right time, to avoid things that it should avoid, and to follow things that it should. I think that is the best training that we
right.
have to give.
Thank you so much for that, Pastor. And I think from what we've covered here, this would really work well for children who are very young. Let's say 10 under, very little children, 3, 8, 6, whatnot. But let's talk about the teenager, right? Let's talk. So we're all saying you need to tell the child, okay, there are barriers. Don't do this, don't do that. But can we ask ourselves why they even go there in the first place? Because a couple of weeks ago, we all, if you were all present, you heard what the children had to say, how they're feeling. I've personally had experiences with younger teenagers who felt like they were very depressed, and when you speak to them and you ask them what's making them sad, they say a lot of things that, okay, for us might look like they don't really hold. That's not a reason to get depressed, right? And then you start to assess their lives and the things that they do. You start to look at the music that they listen to. Maybe you just ask them, what's your favorite song, right? And this teenager mentioned a famous singer that they all know, Billie Eilish. I don't know how many of us know Billie Eilish. So even if you go on YouTube right now and look at some of her songs, they're very depressive. There's one where she's crying and there's like black tears coming out of her eyes. It's very depressive and gothic, And the mind, your body becomes what you're consuming. The more they see that, they start to believe that that is who they are as well, right? And when you tell them, don't go onto YouTube, don't do this, don't that, they will not comprehend it well, right? But then for us, what we're saying is that we set the barriers, but can we tackle the question of why they go there in the first place? Because there's a bigger problem that we need to solve first before we tell them not to use social media or how to use social media. So can we talk about that?
Okay, thank you. I think I want to try. We are all adults and we've been children before. Every child is curious. Their minds are blank and they want to fill it with things. Mm-hmm. So the moment you tell a child, don't go here, don't touch this, my middle boy will tell you, this one, he said I should not hold it like this. Don't touch it. And he's holding the thing, asking you, he should not hold it like this. He had already touched it. Children are curious and they want to learn whatever. And then they want to experience whatever. That's why when they watch cartoons, you wonder, what is this? But they are so eager and they are so focused. And maybe you might not understand because they just want to see the end result, what happened and all that. They want to consume so much information. So the curiosity is one thing. And then when you even tell them something, there was a game that they said, NF. I forgot, I don't know whether it's the right thing. It was in Tanzania, and then the Ministry of Education there said no child should watch it. I told the children here, and my children were eager to know the spelling, and I said, no, I did not tell you go and watch what is there. They saw it's dangerous, and then every child should not watch it, but they just wanted the spelling. So they wanted it for what? They just want to go there and see what I was talking about. So children are curious, and because they want to know whatever, we should be able to tell them the consequences of what they do and what they watch. Mm-hmm. Because if you go and watch pornography materials, the possibility of you wanting to experiment it, or you go and abuse another child and find yourself in trouble, or you yourself will be abused by somebody and then you find yourself in trouble. So we should lay the cards
Right.
on the table for them to know the consequences of what they are curious to know and what might even happen to them. So the
Right.
curiosities might be one thing.
Sorry,
I
sorry
think
to
so.
cut you, but just picking on the pornography part, for instance, you'll tell them, don't go and watch it because this will be the consequences. But can we talk about why the child is going there in the first place? Is there something that this child is not getting at home? And so they're going to the social scene to look for it. You know, because in as much as parents are doing their duty today in the 21st century, don't forget that the internet is also parenting your children. So
Okay.
are they looking for who the better parent is? Is there
Okay.
something that you as a parent has not done for this child and that's why maybe they're going to watch pornography?
Okay, let me add something else. I have a friend in Germany, and then he said his friend and his child is always on the social media. Along the line, they wanted to cut the communication with other friends in the world, and the child nearly committed suicide. Anytime he doesn't want to come and eat, he's always glued to the laptop. What are you doing? Say, I'm playing with my friends. Where are they? You can't see them. Stop it, and she's angry. So now she cuts the communication even with the nucleus family. She's always on the social media with his friends. So as parents, maybe we are not giving enough to the children. We are not giving so much attention to them. And we are so busy chasing whatever. And therefore, when we hand over the gadgets, then they are even off our back. Do your own things, and so give me a chance for me to also manage my issues. So children are, maybe, I don't want to use that word, that they've been neglected. And we lead them to do their own things so that we can also have time. So they are not getting the best out of us.
Right.
We are not there. Some parents will be there physically, but they are not there.
Right.
You go to some homes, everybody is glued to a gadget. So the normal communication is small. They are so eager with their gadget that everybody is communicating with who that we don't know. So that's the experience that my friend is having in Germany now, that the child is having so many friends across the country, the world, and the nucleus family, they don't matter at all. And then when you want to cut it, she wants to commit suicide.
Auntie Grace, do you want to react to this? What is it that the child is not getting something, so they're going to look for it on social media?
I think that the first point Auntie Lydia made is valid. Curiosity, even we as adults are curious. And secondly, there are two schools of thought. Some believe that we are born with nothing. We learn everything. Some also believe we are wired. So let's assume we believe that we are born tabula rasa. We are coming to learn everything, to write on that slate and form our world. So they are now forming their world. They are forming their relationship. They are forming meaning to a lot of things. And so the curiosity to look, to explore is there. But that's when we started, we said it, that children need to be dialogue with. We need to dialogue with them. In all that we do, we dialogue. If you say this is not good, tell the child, I don't want you to go here because A, B, C may happen to you. And because of that, don't go there. The social media is good. You can learn something from it. But there are people also out there who doesn't want your good. And so you may be searching for something, then something pops up. You may go there. What you may see may cause an addiction. So you come to the level of the child and explain addiction. Because what that child is exhibiting in Germany now is addiction. She's addicted to it. Because if I don't get that, then I'll die. You see, so it has reached a stage where they need to see a professional. Because for how long will this child hold them ransom? And when you don't know the people they are dealing with, you see. So children will always search. We, even as adults, still try to make meaning to this world. And so they will search. But that is why we have said it earlier, that we need to guide them. And like we have said, that same thing Pastor was saying, we said that was our first point. That let dialogue with them, let them know why this. Because they have a lot of why questions. If you think that they are disturbing you and leave the why question, push them away. They will go and find the answer to it. And so when they ask questions, we should find time. If you don't know, tell them, oh, as for this one, I don't know. I'll find out and tell you. And keep your word. Other than that, they will find from friends. You see? And tell them, your friends are just like you. They are now learning. And we have different homes. And everybody the way they want to behave. Please, if you don't understand anything, come back to me. If you see something perchance on the social media and you are not too sure, come. I was telling you, my granddaughter who will turn 3, after school she will run after if I'm there, or the mother, hey, give me my phone. Me, she knows I don't really allow her. My phone, I want to watch Rain, Oma. And when you click Rain and give it to her too, she will just click every minute. Even her own cousins will say, when they are watching, then you click it up. You see, so the way she's clicking, if an adult is not close, you don't know what will pop up for that 2-year-old child to see. So if we want to give them, it's a choice. If we want to give it to them, sit by them. If you don't want to give them, tell them why you don't want to give it to them at another time. We cannot police our children everywhere. Tell them, yes, you may go out, you may see somebody, you may go, but know that the possibility that you will go and see something that may affect your life in future is what we are trying to guide you. Don't you want to be, you said you want to be A, B, C, D. Yes, if you want to be A, B, C, D, then please, when we speak, listen to us. If you want it, if your friends have it, they are coming from a different home. And so please, don't watch what others do. Come to mommy or come to daddy and talk and let us dialogue. And I think that to a far end, it will help us.
Right, thank you very much. Kwabena, you want to say something?
I think my senior colleagues have all said it all. Curiosity is going to play a role in every child's life. You made an example of the young teenager listening to delusional music. The point is, when they have a gadget, you cannot tell. The only thing that can help is if you have parental control systems on their gadgets. And with IT, I can tell you that no matter what they delete, we can get it for you, if only you want to invest in it. So we have apps whereby I can give you the gadgets, I can be anywhere in the world, whatever site you go to, I can see it on my phone. Any call that comes to your phone, I can get the number on my phone or my device. These things are there, and you need to invest in it. It is only through that a parent can know that, oh, my child is spending 5 hours a day online. My child is going to this site which is prohibited for her age or his age. My child is speaking to a stranger online. Some even give you pictures they take and share. So the signs are there to support you. You cannot do it on your own with your physical strength. You just need to invest rightly because they are naturally curious. They want to try things out. And you just have to control using wisdom from the Bible and also adding the technology part of it. That's all I can add.
Right, thank you so much. I agree on the curiosity part, and I also feel like it's something that can be mitigated. You know, it's something we can work on, the curiosity. But I'm more interested on the addiction part. When we reach a point where a child, we're talking about a teenager now, has become addicted to something that they're constantly consuming online. We've already spoken about ways we can now deal with that addiction, telling them, okay, don't do this, don't do that. But can we extensively talk about now why the child is going there? Because you'd be surprised to find that a lot of children are very lonely, even in their own houses, right? If we can pick from the example you gave of the child, your friend's child, we do not know the whole story. But then, do parents stop to ask themselves why this child prefers making so many friends online, friends that he or she cannot see, as opposed to friends who might be neighboring around, you know? Do parents stop themselves to ask the question why a child might spend 5 hours on social media? So that's what I want us to really tackle. What is the bigger issue that is pushing this child to do what you'll be surprised they also know is wrong on social media, but they go ahead to do it?
Right. There are two things that are involved. First one is attention. If the child is not getting enough attention, from the parents. It may lead to that. And you know, we are living in a world where it's becoming more and more difficult to spend a lot of time with your child. Early in the morning, you are out to work, traffic, before you come, it's late. Meanwhile, the child is also there, you see? And so therefore, maybe by the time you come, the child might have even slept. In the morning, by the time the child wakes up, you wake up, you are going. It's also going to school. So there's that attention from the parents. It's not there. It's a challenge. And that we must seek to solve. You see? We must make use of holidays to be with our parents, weekends. And the little time you get, be with your children, especially all the way up to 12 years. Because after 12 years, some of them begin to go to boarding schools and so on and so forth there. So at these early stages, have their attention, give them much attention. And then also education. We need to educate them well. Sister Grace has said, if you ask them not to do this or that, you should be able to explain. And you, the parent themselves, they should see you doing the thing that you said they shouldn't do. It will surprise you that you're talking about teenagers. Some of the women, you see, would like to tell their children, don't dress don't this way, don't dress that way. But some of the women themselves are enticed by the way the teenagers are dressed. They themselves would like to dress that way. In Ghana, we shall say, Bonnie may dress or parents say, they want to dress that way. And the children learn more by what? Examples, by sight, than speech. You can talk a lot. It doesn't work as much as what they see and what they do through experience. You see that? So educate them. Let them see you doing what you said they should not do, and doing what you said they should do. Let them see it you do, and then have it. And then another thing is that make friends with them. Friendship with your children, so they can open up to you easily, discuss things with you, question you, and when they are questioning you out of as a curiosity, make sure you have time for them to answer them. Some of the questions at times will be a bit difficult. A small child asking you, why is your tummy, the pregnant woman, why is it, what causes your tummy to, and so forth. You see? But you must find ways and means of what? Answering them. When I was at school in Nigeria, I wrote a paper on the sex education, a research paper on sex education. And then from that paper, I realized that most teenagers, both girls and boys, learn about sex from their friends, from the media, and elsewhere, rather from what? From home. Because at home, many parents feel that it's a taboo. When you expose these children to this education, you may be spoiling them and all sorts of things. I think there was a lot of children were asked questions. A survey that was conducted. About 60 to 80% of the girls said they learned about menstruation, first menstruation, about menses, from their friends rather from their mothers. You see? And so we we allow the media and friends rather to educate our children more than we, the parents. And that may end up in what you are talking about.
Exactly. So I want to let's picture a fictional scenario based on what everybody has said, the importance of having conversations. So let's picture a family where having such conversations, for instance, have been treated as a taboo, right? And now the children are all grown up, maybe they're 15, 16, they're about teenagers, right? And the parents have never had this kind of conversations with them. Like you said, maybe the girls don't even know how to deal with menstruation. They know nothing, let's say, about sex education, right? And here is a parent or parents who have never ever spoken about any of these to their children. And now they realize that it's time to start that hard conversation. How do these parents go about it? How do they fill that gap that they should have started with this child when the child was still a child, when the child was still very young, and now is very grown? The values and the beliefs they've picked up from social media are sedimented, and this parent is trying to break those barriers, even for themselves, because I'm sure it's hard for parents as well, right? They will not admit it, but facing that giant of what has become your child is something else. So how does such a parent go about that?
Okay, thank you. Educating children at home on some of these sensitive things are quite difficult for some of us who have been given trained, and we are now going out teaching people. Teaching your own children at home especially about sexual education, as Pastor said, is quite challenging. Especially the pronunciation of certain organs and all that, how to go about it becomes a problem. But I think we can start somewhere. It's never too late to teach, and it's never too late to learn, irrespective of what kind of age that they have reached. Me, for instance, if it's in that shoes, I will start by having family meetings. I will start, I think it's time now that maybe at the end of every Sabbath, at the evening of every Sabbath, we should have a family meeting. And the family meeting, we are all going to learn about a few things. It's a gradual thing. So now, maybe the first meeting, we will draw a timetable. Some of the topics that we'll be talking about. They will bring their topics and I also chip in. So that it become a constant thing. That is not one often that, hey, come, everybody come. Do you know that ABC, people are getting pregnant? When you do this, you also get yourself in trouble. No. If you follow a certain channel and you make a fun out of it. For instance, even this media that they are going there, it's because mostly they want to play in the first place. And now they go and watch other things. So we are now trying to avoid the media and the cyberspace. Let's bring in other things. The family meeting, we can talk about us, maybe our interests. We can bring Ludu in there. We can bring Owari there. So maybe we have the meeting for 1 hour, and they also play other games. And then we'll raise other people's concerns. We'll address it. And through that, we'll just be putting in these sexual education once after the other, because sexual education is broad. Are you going to talk about their aging? Are you going to talk about their sexual orientation? Are you going to talk about their relationship with their peers? I was telling Eda Taylor, I was telling this afternoon, that I've seen some fair-colored girls following my son all around. Even the school. Oh, yes. Today I said it, Elder. I saw 3 girls. Hey, madam. Hello, Andy's mom. And I said, are you Andy's friends? I said, the new girlfriend. I said, no. The other girls even chasing after. I said, oh, please. My son is not grown. So you see, now that fair girls are chasing after him, I think it's time for me to educate him on a few things. But I cannot go and just start, hey, Kwesi, come here. Now that you are very tall and big, if you are not careful, go and touch a girl A, B, C, D, you'll be in trouble. No. I will start with a family meeting, and then we'll plan our timetable, and we'll put in some topics, and then we'll be discussing one after the other. I think with that, with the fun a little aspect, they'll be able to get it. I think so.
Thank you so much. Auntie Grace, help a parent.
Hello. Maybe because some of us are coming from the health background, but it's still a little difficult. But now I think that they are trying to make things a little easier for parents, because one of the first things they learn is all about me. And all about me has to start from your head to your toe. So you gradually you can do that. Oh, have you learned about all about me in school? Yes. So what is this? What is this? Okay. So okay, what is this one? Then you know they will be oh, but why are you giggling? Okay, who can tell me? Okay, so this is called breast. This is called fufu. You know. Then you one or two uses of it you tell. Like how my daughter has a fresh baby like it. If you are doing it, oh, you saw that Auntie Fina's stomach got bigger. Now she has baby cocoa. Now she's feeding. So milk, that's the use of it. But you know, you saw that Auntie Fina finished all her school. Then she and Uncle Nicholas, you were there. We all went to the wedding nicely. Would you want to do that when you grow up? Okay. So if you would like to grow up when you don't do it, you see this thing down, they call it vagina. No man's penis has to touch it. You understand? If he touches it and you get pregnant, you may not finish your school. Do you want to stop halfway? No. So you see, so gradually you chip it in, not the full scale, depending on age and the scale and the length to which you get to. But they should know that this is called breast, this is called this is called this. You see, it's not easy, but that is what we should do. And when you do it, they keep it in their head. So they know that, hey, if I go and sleep with a boy, what will result is that I will get pregnant. And I mean, old school. But my father, all the sex education he did for us is, he called all of us together. Who am I living in this house with? Then all of us said, our mother. Who is your mother to me? Then we said, your wife. Then he said, me, Kwe, I will not live in this house with anybody's wife. What did I say? Then, so you got it straight in your head that if you dare and go and get pregnant, when the man is not ready, you still have to walk out of that house. So that was all the sex education we had. But when they came to our turn, God being so good, Christianity is there. You know that Jesus said we should not fornicate. Teenage, they know all about their past. If they don't know, you, the mother or father, you touch on it. It's not only a duty for mothers. It's for the fathers as well. So like she's saying, a family meeting will be better. So you sit down and tell her that this thing, if this one gets here, this is the result. I don't want to spoil the holy Sabbath day. Me, I'm a nurse, and I'm a family planning nurse, so I can talk about that. But I don't want to spoil the Sabbath. You understand? So you explain. If you cannot, I did it for most of my nieces. Because the parents cannot. So we get together like she thought. We are chatting all day. I say, hey, you know, if you don't take care and go and do this, nobody will celebrate you. We don't celebrate things done in private. But when they celebrate you, we are all looking for something to congratulate you from the private thing. You understand? So if you cannot do it, ask. Or as a church, yes, we can find one Saturday if we don't want to spoil the Sabbath. We have health personnel and people who want to do it in this church. Bring them together. But we ourselves, we don't have time. And picking up from what Pastor was saying, you see, the attention, then he said something, quality time. You see, quality time. If the children don't have quality time, they will look elsewhere looking for quality time. And out of the quality time comes what? Love. Emotional attachment, emotional tank. Everybody has an emotional tank. And if we don't treat our children the way we should, their emotional tanks are empty. So they will go around looking for things to fill their emotional tank. And that's why we have a lot of homosexuals around. 2, parental example. How do you live with your wife in the house? How do you live with your husband in the wife? The children are watching. They are hurting. They will not speak. If you ask for prayer topic, they will say, I'm praying that God should heal mommy and daddy's marriage. Sometimes I think that we do the stage thing too much. Let us be real and solve our problems in the house. Otherwise, we'll come to church and behave like the most sentimental couples. Yet our children will emotionally be empty in their tank because they don't see what they are expected to see. And when we show that thing to our children, we are filling their tanks, they are happy, they will not stray to other places. So please, parents, we need to work on ourselves. The last one is that we are chasing for money too much. Please, we should, as a family, decide who should take a lesser job to have time to take care of our children. I'm running a school now, so I know what I'm talking about. A child started school when he was 3 months. Up to now, every 6 a.m. he's at my gate. Yes, every 6 a.m. he's at my gate. Yeah, I'm looking for money. I'll take him, and I'm a mother and a grandmother. I'll take the child. But what are you doing to such a child? Every 6 a.m., 3 years, he cannot potty train. But before you will say, Jack, he are poo-poo. Because the teachers are even nothing. You understand? So one of you should take a lesser job that will give them flexibility. We were lucky. Next thing, sometimes going to morning, afternoon. So I don't need to leave 6 a.m. If I'm in the afternoon, I'm there to take care. Even that, they felt it. My daughter will tell you, when everybody is at home, you are going. Because holiday, I must go to work. But the two of you must decide, please don't change money. And don't get the money and cry over your children. I beg you.
Right. I want to pick out something that you said. So this is a two-way conversation. What we're talking about, mitigating this whole thing. Number one, creating that safe space for your child, having the dialogue with your child, so that even if they're feeling maybe depressed about something, they don't have to go seek solace from social media, but can come to talk to you as a parent. So that's one way of the discussion. The other way is the parent and the parent, which you were kind of touching on, right? How can parents, the mother and the father, ensure that what they're showing their children is good enough for them to consume, so much that they will not even abhor being in that presence of the home, so that the home will be so much attractive that social media feels like a waste of time for them, you know? Because one bitter truth that maybe some parents never want to accept is that what your child becomes is really a reflection of the kind of home that you have built, you know? So it's not that social media is really terrible, because some parents will come and say that, oh, my children use social media a lot and I've never had an issue with them, right? Another parent might come and say, my children just use one social site and I'm always having issues with them. So can we talk about the example that parents set in that home? How the parents bring up those children? Can we speak to that?
Like
And maybe to add on, just before we mention, Mr. Asiedu, who came for the Courageous Man, shared something very particular. He spoke about how when he had seen a lady in his father's car, for him he thought, okay, maybe the father is cheating on the mother, and he asked the mother, and the mother said, oh, your father would never do something like that, you know. That is the example that was set for him at home. So much that even if social media, because now social media will teach younger children that it's good for you to have a side chick, even when you're married, you know, and they grow up in their teens, they'll have their girlfriend and their side chick, because that's what social media is teaching them. But what are the parents showing them at home? Could it be that the parent will say, oh, don't do it, and maybe one day they find the mom with another man and they might not speak to it?
All right.
I can see. I think that if as a church we can listen to that particular thing, it will help all of us. I listen online, and I think the man spoke a lot of sense, a lot of ingredients that if we pick at couples, our children will be the most happiest we can have. So please, I'm sure the pastor, some of the elders are, that particular clip, pick on it. Let's have a discussion on it, and let's find how we can cultivate that particular ingredient so that we have what we should have at home.
Yes.
Right. I think between birth and then 7 years. Now, psychologists have determined that it's even from pregnancy. Children begin to learn from pregnancy. You see that? So from that time all the way to 7 years, try to be their best friend. Build friendship with them. Have time with them. Do things together with them. Talk to them. At times, it will cause you at times to behave even like a child because of them. So they tell you whatever they want to tell you, you too, you tell them. Now, when you build that friendship, when the children begin to grow, that bond is there. So they can easily come freely without fear or shame to you and ask you questions, open up to you, and you too respond in the same way. Then, in doing that, you guide them, as I've said. The matter is choice. How the child is to make use of his or her what? Choice, a power of choice. All things that are happening in social media, music, and the rest, they are all around us. They are all around us. You can't escape from them. You may do all that you can to make your children avoid these things, but they are unavoidable. They are all around us. They are saturated and fill the atmosphere, even the air we breathe. It is there. So you can't avoid them. And we must know that the devil is behind many of these things. We must not forget that behind these things is the controversy between good and evil. So the devil is working his plans behind this to get these children. And when they get these children, it can easily destroy the church or society. Do you see that? So have that. So that you can have free discussion with them. Now, when the child grows, as you said, the child is in his or her teens, and you have not built up that bond. And you see that there are things you need to correct in the character or behavior of that child. It becomes very, very difficult because the initial thing that should be there is not there. It becomes very difficult to give such education. You have not set a good example. You have not given the right education. You have not done the correct bonding that you should have between you and the child. It's difficult. And at that stage, the church and the school, they affords much greater help in it. As our sister said, the church should have a means by which, say, teenagers of this age are grouped, all the girls, and are giving sex education. You see that are taught these things about anatomy, human anatomy, male anatomy, female anatomy, the changes that takes place within their system when you reach adolescence. They must understand what is happening to them, what is happening, and how they should handle the situation. All these things must be taught them. I was in the school, and then there were 2 Roman Catholic sisters, and they come around every year. They gather all the girls at the trade fair. We go there, and their duty is to give them this sex education. We spend the whole day from anatomy to issues, and then relationship within boys and it may surprise you what goes on within boys and girls 8 years, 7 years, before 12 years. Things that go on between these boys and girls, you if you get to know it, you'll be surprised. Right. The right direction in education is needed. And at home, we must not forget the word of God in training these children. Morning devotions. Many of us don't have time for morning devotions with our children at all. It's not there. And so the child will grow up without knowing what is devotion, what morning devotion. They don't pray. They don't pray. They are just empty because we don't have time for it. We don't do it with them. So the word of God must not be taken away from their education, and certain fundamental Christian practices that we should set in place and make sure that we inculcate them into the children character. We should not play with them at all.
Right. Thank you so much, Pastor. So we'll welcome some questions from the audience. If you have a question, you can just proceed to sit over your head. We'll take the questions as and when, and the online community can share some questions as well. Yes, Auntie Grace.
I think to continue where Pastor left off, you see, the mother has her functions in the home. Mm-hmm. The father has his function. And I think one of the functions of the father in the home is he's the priest of the house. He is the provider of the house. He is a pace setter in the house. There's a fourth one that I have forgotten. So the question is, we should ask ourselves, if I'm a woman, I'm supposed to take care, to also help establish the rules and regulations that are set in conjunction with the father. So if the woman misses her functions in the home, and the father also misses his function, all because we are going to chase money. By 6 o'clock, father has flew away. By 7:30, mother is also flying. And weekend too, they go around leaving their children with people so that they go and some of them to fulfill their passion. So we are pleading that we as parents should also find out our role. If we don't know, let's find what our role as wives or mothers or fathers should be. And it will go a long way to help our children. Some of us, we are not only doing talk. I think maybe, are you the one there? My daughter-in-law is there. I said, we went to her house one day after Sabbath. Did we come there with Daddy? She was working in the bank. We realized that by 6:15 you are going, you meet Mabel going. And her children are 2 years. So we went and said, my dear, what is happening? You have to look at it, you and your husband. One of you the two of you cannot work in the bank. It will not be well for these children. Now Mabel has dropped hers. She's doing something else. She's doing another entrepreneurship. I'm doing advert for her. She does cakes and other things, decor and other things. So you can see her. You see, so we are talking about practicality. We shouldn't be talk. Oh. Please, when we come here and we learn, we should put it in practice. And it will go a long way to help our children. Then these things will be solved. I mean, if not completely, it will 96%. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll have our first question from Auntie Clara.
Excuse me. Before the question comes, yes. I wish you can give me time to say some examples in the Bible.
Yes.
And then also, by the time we close, I would like to make a demonstration. Okay. Practical demonstration here.
Okay.
Maybe to close.
No.
Can I hear?
Yes. Please go ahead and share.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I want to share from the Bible is this. This is a scenario that took place in the home. And unfortunately, it happened in the priest's home. The father is a priest. The mother was not mentioned, but the father is the high priest, Eli. And Eli had some boys, Ophi and Phinehas, very bad boys, notorious, very, very notorious. And if you read 1 Samuel chapter 2, you see the evil things these boys were doing. But now they are in their late teens already. And things that should have been checked when they were children was not done. And now look at, they are doing these evil things. God warned Eli. But Eli was not able to put his foot down and stop them. Look at what God said. Now, I will cut it short. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 13. Now, God was telling Samuel what he is going to do to the house of Eli. Short, he said, I told him that I'm going to judge his family forever because of the iniquity he knows about. That's about his children. His sons are defiling the sanctuary, and he has not stopped them. In King James Version, it said he has not restrained them. You see, now God is going to punish the house of Eli. Not necessarily because the children are behaving that way, but because the father, Eli, was not able to stop them. He was not able to restrain them. He was not able to put his what? Foot down. Do you see that? So at times in the training our children, bringing our children, yes, we know things that are happening. Oh, these days, that's how children are, and so on and so forth. But it comes to a time when you, the parent, you have to put your foot down and make sure that the child doesn't do this or that. It is very, very, very important. When you are not able to restrain your children or stop them, it will come to a time when they will go out of control. And that is what happened in the what? In the house of Eli. And it was a big disaster. So parents, let's put our foot down when it comes to disciplining our children. It's very important.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Fiona, if I could also add to what Pastor said. Last 2 weeks, I was here in the children's department. I spent much time of late here. And just bear in mind when Pastor and the leaders of our children came over there to tell us the situation on the ground in regards to phone usage and all that. And they were showing a movie. I think it was Ben Carson movie to illustrate something to the children. And whilst the program was going on, we had some kids within 8 to 12 brackets playing with their phone game. So to all parents watching, to all parents here, please, if you could side with our pastor, don't give your children phones on Sabbath. I'm pleading with you. Don't give your children phones on Sabbath. They don't come here. When they come here, they don't learn. They do a different thing altogether. It is not swag. It is not anything stylish. It shows that you don't care about them. On Sabbath, they take the phone because you are in church with them. What do they need the phones for? So that they come here with physical Bibles, physical hymn books to partake in the service, not with phones and tablets. I'm pleading, those watching, those here, share this message. Let's stop the gadgets on Sabbath day. Thank you for adhering to this.
Thank you, Carbona. Now we'll have Auntie Clara ask the first question.
Thank you so much for the panelists for the insightful guests you've given to us. May the Lord bless you. Somebody says I should ask this question. Says teachers give the children homework almost every day. That demands research. Research. So now teachers don't teach. Almost every day the son comes to and he has to research, do his own research. And then it's like homework. And so she's asking, as a parent, what checks can we put on the device? Especially with parents who are born before computer. Parents who are busy. They don't know, they themselves, they need education to be able to guide the children on social media. So that's the first question. My question is, which is the best parental control? Two schools of thought. One says that expose the child to some trending issues and guide them as to how to handle them. Another school of thought says deter them from exploring and hidden from the trending issues and allow them to deal with it when they are out of your tutelage or out of the home. Like Pastor said, by 12:40 now they are gone out of the house. So this two school of thought, I got a hint. I think Pastor handled it a bit. But some say that allow the children to explore. Let them know what is evil. Let them know what is good. Let them know what is bad. Thinking that you might have given them the foundation. You see, you can only do this when you have given the children good foundation for them to know that, no, I have to stay away from that. I have to stay away from this. Is it that? Or hide, don't let them go on social media. Put limits, set limits. Don't let them explore. But obviously, they will go out there. When they go to school, their friends will expose them to it. Which of these two schools of thought do you think is the best parental guidance? Or perhaps we should merge them? So this is my question.
Thank you so much, Auntie Clara, for the question. Do we have another question before we answer?
I think her question is loaded, so maybe let's answer that before
so let's
the next
answer
one.
this. If anybody else has another question, kindly proceed to take a seat over here. And anybody watching online can also send their questions. So, Kwabena, if you can help us answer the first
So
question.
for the parents asking what to do to safeguard their child, that comes home every day with research homework. It is true, that's the latest trend. Teachers are now pushing them to go online to get information. And that brings us back to what we are saying. Part of the quality time at home is parents getting involved in their children's homework. So you have to sit close to that child whilst you provide them their tablet or your laptop to access. The good thing also to add to this is that we also have parental control systems that you could also plug into these gadgets. That would at least give them a boundary from going, to certain environments that could be dangerous to them. So we have the tools for that, but in a way of building a good home system, parents should at least sit with their children when they are doing their homework and guide them. I think that plays a role together with the technology. For her who doesn't have knowledge, she should seek help. We have Google Family, is one of the free apps on Play Store that helps you to put restrictions and filter certain sites and monitor also to a certain level. But if you want the best, you need to get the paid ones, and there are a number of them. You should seek help. If you know the person, I could send you some of them later on, and they'll pay for it and use it. Yeah, so that is what I could say for the homework issues. I'm sure Pastor and my senior colleagues will take care of the training measure.
Yes.
Yeah, that what you are saying, that you, the parents yourself, you need to update yourself so you can at least do something to help your children. Now, the second question: how did God Himself dealt with this situation of freedom? You see that? Yes. God placed man in the Garden of Eden, and he placed that fruit tree there. God knew that it can lead them to do evil, and it can lead them also to do good. Isn't it? That's why a tree is called what? Tree of what? But God yet exposed them to it. But then God gave them that freedom. But their freedom was guided. God guided their what? Freedom by educating them. Now, if you touch them, if you do this and do that, this is where it will lead you to. And if you refrain from doing it, that is where it's going to lead you to. The choice is now yours. And so the best thing, as I said from the beginning, is to help the child, train the child to be able to use her power of choice positively. Do you see that? So in the atmosphere of freedom, he will still make the right choice, whether at home or elsewhere. And the child will grow up with this. And these are the people that we need. Once you constrain them using force, when that force is not there, they will go and experiment, and they will do what, and then in the end they will land in a lot of problems and so on and so forth. Yes.
I think, like Pastor said, if you give them the freedom of choice, it's not all the time they will get it right. One thing we do as parents sometimes that is bad is we are too judgmental. You see, when the child realizes that you are judgmental and he or she does something wrong, she will not let you see it. But let the child know. Yesterday, my 5-year-old granddaughter, I was telling her, they were doing musical chairs. We wanted to use it, helps in concentration. And then she was blown away, and they stopped the music, and she lost, and she was so sad. And I said, yes, in life you cannot win all the time. Know that there are sometimes you will lose. So let the child know that yes, you have the right to make a choice, but sometimes you may make the wrong choice. Please, if you make the wrong choice, don't hesitate. Come. And then you sit the child and you see this that you did. You see this and this and this is what happened. So you see why we didn't want you to do this. I hope that you have learned your lesson. Next time, don't do that. Then the child will go happy. But I told you and I said da. And then you make the child look like a failure. And so the child will not want to try, will kill their initiative, will kill their confidence. Please, let's handle whatever they do wrong and let the children know that like the coin, success is one side, failure is on the other side. Right choice is on one side, wrong choice is on the other side. In case you get it right, high five, girl, I'll do A, B, C, D. If you don't get it right, this and this is what will happen. Maybe you take some privileges to just let the child know it's not good. But don't let us be too judgmental and to be too stick. As somebody, I counsel an elderly, let me use a lady. You know where she learned pornography? From the father. Meanwhile, the father didn't know at all. It took years before he got to know. So the example we are talking about, what examples are you setting in the house? What kind of relationship is there between you, your wife, your child? Is it Mr. Lion or Miss Tiger who is coming? You see, when we put these things in perspective, the children would most of the time make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Auntie Grace and Pastor.
Sorry, one thing. You see, I think that as parents, we are behaving like carpenters. Carpenter has a wood. Jacob, are you going? He wants a chair. He knows how he will cut it. That's what we do to our children. We cut them to be what we want them to be. Instead of being gardeners, prepare the atmosphere, the soil, put them in, water them, tend them, then allow them to bear fruits. You see? But we make ourselves like carpenters, carving them. I know people who finish university and now they are entrepreneurship and they ask, oh, why? What happened? Oh, I asked for the engineering. I did it for my father. Sad one. Engineering for his father. Now she's an entrepreneur. Why won't we allow our children to grow in a free soil, to be what God has ordained them? That's why we are guidance. We should guide them. Please, let's stop. Doing what? No, coaching cry is better. To be autocratic over the lives of our children. You wanted to be a doctor, you couldn't become a doctor. So chinchina, why? A child may have something brilliant and something marvelous within. Nurture it and you will see it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yes.
This thing is taller than some of us. Thank you for the insightful contributions that you've made. Two quick things. One has to do with, should we limit them? Should we keep them from seeing things? I lived with a Muslim family for 2 years, and there was something very important I learned from them. The man had 2 children who were at Soul Clinic International, a Christian school. So they'll go for morning devotions. Every evening, he would sit the children down and then ask them, what did you learn at morning devotion? And he would listen. Thereafter, he would debrief them. The ones that do not conform to the Islamic teachings, he would make sure he picks it. And this was something I witnessed every single day during the week. So then I asked myself, how much of that do we do? Today, I realized that my daughter would go around. In the evenings, we chat. Sometimes we go for a walk. And I just say, hey, tell me what happened at school.
And there are things you'll be surprised. The latest songs, I learned it from her. She would tell me the songs they played on the bus and everything. Then, instead of acting so scandalized, just be patient about it and also do the debriefing. So that's one contribution. On the issue of sexuality, I think that even as Christians, we are not treating it right. We have reduced sexuality to just the act, and we are afraid. Auntie Grace mentioned in the school curriculum, tell me about myself. Even then, I have reviewed materials on sex education. They give the names of all parts of the body. They take out, even in the pictures they use, there's no sexual organ. So then the question is, this is an organ God has created. The children, it is on the children. And yet we have conveniently taken it out. And then when we want to talk about what God has even created them with, it is with shame. Yes, even the term private part, it's okay. But we discuss it with shame, with disgust. Yes. But if we look at it, I tell my daughter that your ear, we look at all our body and then we treat it abuse. I say if somebody puts something in your ear will be sick. You yourself, you can't do it. So we go through that for all parts of the body. So it doesn't become a problem when I'm telling her that for your sexual organ, you can't put anything there yourself. Mommy can't do that. Daddy can't do that. No other person, even for you yourself. So if we demystify it, it would be much easier for us. Growing up, people have wet dreams. Then we tell them it is satanic. So people can't even talk about it. So I think that as Christians, let's admit that it's God who has created us with everything about our sexuality and then start discussing it in very unashamed ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let me make one point, because personally it was something that affected me. Auntie Solid. So at what point will you teach the child that when he married, no, I shouldn't put you on the floor. At least I think that from where she stopped, at a point, we must let the child know that one day the husband will do that. I was in SU, and nobody told me anything. Those days, S.D.A, when you are going to marry, there's no counseling. You tell the pastor the date, they go and marry you. Now, this house, where the educational unit, and I was crying every night because nobody told me that somebody was going to do that to me. And I felt ashamed. I thought, what is this kind of thing? You see, so the debriefing is very, very important. Let the child know. Otherwise, they go to marriage and they are afraid of their husband. And most of the time, the beginning of the problem. Because as for men, that's why they marry you, number one, whether the pastors agree or not. Because what he will do with you, he cannot do with the mother, nor the sister. You understand? So, at a point, the child must know that when you are properly married, then this thing will happen. Thank you. I know. Don't worry, my sister. Because I have a personal phobia, I have to.
Thank you very much, Auntie Grace. Yes, Elder Nai, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's been a very interesting and insightful discussion this afternoon. Auntie Grace, I think you hit on something that I had noted. We must, especially, it's unfortunate we don't have a lot of young people unmarried in this auditorium right now. But I want to believe that since it's online, they can still have access to it. But we must begin to think of building family-friendly careers, because the situation we are facing is very dire. You wake up early morning, you have to drive 2 hours through traffic, you go to work, you are coming late, both mother and father. It is a situation for most of us. And I have been thinking about it a lot. And if you are a young person, you must begin to think about that when you are going to marriage, how to build family-friendly marriages or career. When we were growing, my mother was there, or because she's a nurse, she will go back and come. By the time you come back from school, she's there. So we didn't have this problem. But this time, it's difficult. So we must begin to think about that. Social media, as Pastor said, in fact, it's all around us. In fact, the problem is actually not social media, but it's before social media, because it depends, as we said, on the training, because social media is only mirroring society. So depending on the training and the child's ability to choose right, when they go on social media, the things may pop up, but it depends on what they will choose. So the other thing I find is content. We must be concerned as a church, as parents, about building content. Some of us think it's social media, it's not my time. Please, it is time, if it's not our time, it's time we start training our young people to get in and build the right content. Because the more we have the right content on social media, the more our children will be able to find what is right for them. Other than that, they will be overshadowed by content which we wish they shouldn't come into contact with. So we must begin to think about that as a church, as parents, and begin to empower our young people to be able to build content that is right for society consumption. Other than that, the devil and his people would take over for us. Lastly, two things that I think we need to do. We need another session purposely for sexual education. And then, Kobna, I think we need another session for teaching or exposing us to the social media tools and how they work, the specifics, so that parents would know exactly what is available for them to use. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elder Nai. Yes, we'll have a question from Elder Sam. Please, are there any more questions? Okay, so one more other question. Sure, thank you, Elder Sam.
Thank you very much. I've learned so much from this course. But I wanted to touch base on what Pastor said about we being examples for our children, and Auntie Grace also talked about that. My concern is that our children sometimes have access to our phones. So the question I ask myself is there something on my phone that Adepa cannot see or cannot look at? If there's something like that, then it doesn't need to be on the phone. Because if he gets access to the phone, he will see them. Are there sites that I go to? Let's assume, let's say you go on YouTube, and you open YouTube on your phone. The things that you have been looking at, will possibly pop up with other suggestions. So once you open the app, those are the things that you have been looking at. So which kind of probably music have you been playing as a parent, looking at within that period? That is what will pop up immediately when a child looks at the phone. If you are watching certain movies and you open the app, those are the things that will be presented to you quickly, even without doing any background check, history, and all that. So as parents, I think we should be more mindful about what we do. If we are able to play the right songs in our phones, our children will learn from there. If they are able to access various good things on their phone, of course, that is what they will also learn from. Finally, I think we need to make deliberate effort to make time with the children. A deliberate effort. At one time in our leadership meeting, there was supposed to be something on a Sunday or so. And Pastor quickly interjected and said, no, let's leave that so that we can have time for our families. So deliberately, we need to plan and then put that in place. Otherwise, it will just slip off. I remember the week, he said that, I have not really had quality time with the children because deliberately, you didn't plan that on this day, or on that day, or at this time of the day or the week, this is the time for my children. This has been blocked. Therefore, I need to engage with the children. So as we also plan our week as parents, let's think about which day, what time we will have for our children so we can engage more with them. Therefore, we'll become friends to them, as Auntie Lydia mentioned. So once we are friends with them, they can open up, and then we are able to correct them when they are going wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elder. We'll have our last question. You have a question? Okay, last two questions, and then we'll close.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Basically, what I want to throw on board is, as a family, when you're a young family growing up, I think one of the most important things we need to agree upon is for the father and the mother who are bringing these children up should be heading towards the same direction. They should be on a parallel road on a journey of life, in the sense that when you disagree along the road where you want your child to be, whereby, okay, I want my children to go on this direction. I don't want them to be social media now. I don't want them to be having this gadget now. I don't want them to do this now. And the other party disagree. Without the two of you sitting down to agree and suggest and educate yourself on the way forward, there will be problems all the time. You agree on something that I want to teach this person something, this child, this way, and then when you're out, it's different. You come home and you find the same problem. You see, when I wasn't so glued to social media. I think even YouTube is a safe place. YouTube, Gmail is a safe place to go. I wasn't so glued to the other media that are coming in. For instance, WeChat, the other one, Instagram, and then TikTok. TikTok, I think, is a very dangerous place to go. I think TikTok is a very dangerous place to go. So when my children were growing up, they went to school and they came to me and they said, Daddy, our teacher said when they started IT, we should have email. So I thought of it and I said, okay, then this email address be the best way for me to handle those children in the sense of the social media or the internet. So I created an email address and I linked it to my email address. You see, I linked it to my email address because you have a family package. So that anything they go, because Gmail, the way they've designed it, anywhere you want to go, it will like you to identify yourself first. So anywhere they will go, it will link in, and when I draw my history, their history comes to my history, and I would know. You see, and by God's grace, everything is going. I don't know what come up, because the children are always learning, they are growing, they are meeting new friends, even dangerous ones. The more they progress in life, they meet more dangerous friends. Because now you see, I see it like, the same way we're growing, what we're facing, they are also facing the same way. But now I think evil has now traveled closer to us in the sense of internet, so they have the much bigger problem. So as parents, single parents, wherever we are, we should all try and know the direction that we are heading our children and agree. When we agree, some of these issues will be easier for us to tackle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Last question.
I'll need to drop it because I'm vertically challenged, but okay. Thank you very much. Parenting and childcare is one of my passions, in fact. And so when I hear
Move closer to the mic.
When there's a forum on parenting, it's something that I would definitely want to be around for. Thank you. Thank you. This session has been really insightful, and my little take home and my contribution as well is that parenting is an intentional decision. Unfortunately, we are not taught through counseling or just before we get married. And so we get married and then we give birth and we are sometimes taken by surprise. However, it's an intentional decision that we need to make regarding when to even give birth, how the children are going to be trained and everything. And with that, the first few years of a child is very critical. We should actually make an effort to groom these children from birth to the first 7 to 8 years. These are very critical years of a child, and whether they'll become confident, whatever values they would have, these are the years that they will pick it. More often than not, we are young couples at this age, and so we are rushing after money. We are rushing to actually make something up, or maybe get some sort of value for ourselves. And so we miss those years. However, those years are very, very critical. Once we miss it, it becomes very, very difficult to undo some of the things that they'll pick up. Sometimes we give birth and we leave children to house helps. And you come home and a child is doing something that you are actually surprised about. These are the values that these house helps or these helpers actually know. And so this is what they are also teaching our kids. So you come home and they are doing something and you are so surprised. It is what we leave them to. And unfortunately, because we are more often than not away from the children, they tend to trust these people they live with more than us. And so some of them are even taken advantage of at a very, very young age, and they will never tell you. You will never get to know if you are not very, very particular. Also, we need to redirect their thought flow or their thought process, because at this early age, their brain is open to so much. It's like a foam that you can dip in water and see the quantity or the quantum of water that you would have. Their brain is so open, and so they can absorb so much that we underestimate them for. So we need to redirect their thought process, because if we try boxing them, social media has come to change a lot of things. If we try boxing them, it will not help, because we cannot homeschool them. They will go to school. They will have a friend whose parent thinks it's okay to give their child a phone. The child will actually sneak the phone into school and open sites that are unhealthy for your kid. But if we actually redirect their thought process and rather seek to groom their value system, where they know what is good for them by choosing the right things, I think that wherever they find themselves, even if they are on social media, they know what they are looking for. Sites will always pop up. Things will always pop up when they are on the social media. But once their value system is solid, they would actually close those sites. And then again, I believe parents should have, like Father just gave us, parents should actually have one voice. Two voices cannot raise a child. And more often than not, these are the issues we have in our homes. We have the mother disagreeing to maybe the father not wanting the child to be on a tablet at this time. And children are very, very, very intelligent. We will always, in fact, children will always rush to where they believe they would be supported, sort of. And so when there are two voices, they would always want to please the one who will always pamper them, as against the one who would not. And so there's always that confusion. And unfortunately, because we are adults, sometimes we let our ego take the better part of us. And so even though sometimes we know what the other person is saying is right, because we feel, oh, no, he or she is going against what I have said, you would rather let the child have his way just because of your ego. So we should actually have an effective discipline where once we start a process and we know the goal that we are trying to get these kids to, we will follow through. Because social media platforms, trust me, depending on how the usage is, each of them has their values, even TikTok. Because before you set up TikTok, it will actually give you the option to select the content that you want popping up. So if you want, let's say, interviews, if you want songs, if you want whatever content, that is what the app will push to you. So if we as parents actually go through the pains of learning some of these benefits of this social media and redirecting the kids, I'm sure it will help all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. So as we close, before I let Pastor do the demonstration, I think we've all gathered a lot of points on how you can parent in this social media era. And there's a quote that I would just like to share very briefly. It says, if you can't beat them, join them. I don't know if you've ever heard of that quote, right? Social media, like we've all said, is here to stay. And the sad truth is that every older person sitting in this room is going to pass one day, unfortunately, and your children will be the ones who will be carrying forth the mantle that you've given them. So that's a charge on every parent to ask themselves, what mark do I want to leave for my child when it comes to social media, right? I cannot defeat social media. How can I join my child in this social media? My friend's mom does this one thing where she's a psychologist, right? And so her children are very into social media. They're all grown. And so what she did was she decided to start a channel on Facebook and on YouTube where she talks about psychology, and she involves her children in the creation of this channel. Maybe one of her children will be doing the recording for her. Another one will be setting up what she needs to talk about and telling her, oh, mommy, you need to repeat this part. Mommy, you need to do another episode. So how can you join social media as a parent and work with your child through that? How can you show them that you have the same interest? Because that's where you will build the relationship and make sure that they're using it to their own good and not to their own detriment. So if you can't beat them, please consider joining them. Thank you. Pastor, over to you.
I have a stick here. I have a stick here. This stick I have here represents the child. The child. Now, these three people and myself are the various media that bring various influences, pressures to bear on the child. And each one makes the maximum effort to lead the child or pull the child on his side. So you are the peer group, the peers. You are the social media. And then what are you? And I am the host. And here is the child. So, you see, the child is here. All this, who is the social media? Yes. She's bringing a lot of pressure to bear on what? On the child. Influencing the child in all various forms. It needs maximum to pull the child to her side. You are the school. The school is also influencing the child. And at the school, there are all sorts of influences. The peer group is very, very powerful. Isn't it? Yes. So you are a powerful, also influencing the child. And the home is also very powerful. That's where the child, what is that? The base. That's where the child comes from birth. Now all of us are pulling on the child. Now pull. If the home means parents. the home environment, isn't it? Now, because all these influences are coming from various sides, putting pressure on the child, the home, I must be sure that my influence overshadows this. Otherwise, if I relax a little, it will pull. So now here I am, I'm pulling. The media is pulling. Peer groups, who is pulling? The church is in support of the parents, isn't it? Yes. So I'm the church. I have the church behind me. If I relax a little, what happens? You see now. It is because the hope, I have what? I've relaxed. But if my pressure is strong enough, and you see that mine is now overshadowing this. Now the child is what? Is bending towards me. And that is how it is. If the peer group is very strong and then we become relaxed, you see that it is bending towards the peer group. And so that is it. All these influences that are bringing pressure to bear on the child must be overcome in all ways by the what? Influence that comes from the what? Home. To bear pressure that are positive on the child. Now, if you are a parent, a mother, or a father, and then your influence is not strong enough, the media will be raising your child for you, and you see the influence. If you are not strong enough, if you don't take care, their peer group will be what? Training your child for you, because you have what? Relaxed. You see? And so we are living in a very challenging world. The children themselves, they know more than us. Our influence on them must be what? Must be very, very strong. Otherwise, they will bend towards the social media. And if a tree grows and it bends and becomes strong, can you correct it? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you very much for joining us for this very insightful discussion on parenting. Once again, we hope you've picked up a lot of points on how you can become a better parent for your child and equip them to use social media accordingly. So now I'll hand over to Elder Nai to kindly close us.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you to our parents. Thank you to our panelists. It's been really wonderful. Auntie Esther and the team also from Children's Department, thank you very much for bringing this to us today. It was a little bit of a challenge coming to this afternoon, but I think the lessons that we've learned are very, very important, and I wish that we would all bear this in mind as we close from here. Before we go, shall we make use of hymn number 8? Hymn number 8, we gather together. Auntie Clara. And shall we all rise as we sing? Go. We gather together to the Lord's blessing. And instance His will to make known the wicked oppressing now cease from distressing. Praises to His name, we forget not His own. We serve us to guide us, our God with us joining, ordaining, maintaining in His kingdom divine. So from the beginning, the fight we were winning, the Lord was at our side, all glory be thine. We all do extol Thee, Thou leader triumphant, and pray that thou still defend the worthy. Let thy congregation escape tribulation. Thy name be ever praised. O Lord, make us free. We invite our first elder to close us with a word of prayer. Uncle Charles, we can't leave you out.
Okay, let's pray. Again, we are happy that you made us parents and watchers one another. Thank you for this program, Father. A lot we have shared. But we know that at the end of the day, it is only when you are in the boats that we can afford to smile at the storm. We pray for families that are hurting, struggling in matters we have discussed today, that, Lord, you come through for them. Committing our children into your hands. We know that, Father, when your protection is over us, we can be secured. So we ask humbly that, Lord, continue to insulate our children from the corruptions of our time. King of glory, may they shine wherever they find themselves, especially when we are not with them. Let your angels keep their company. And now unto him who alone, our Lord Jesus Christ, is able to keep us from falling, may he continue to be with us, lift his countenance upon us, grant the areas that we need to make amends, that he will help us. May the Lord continue to be with each and every one of us until we meet sometime next week again. To the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, in whose name alone we have prayed with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. You have to see the support. Thank you for coming and have a good night.